Yeah, let's jump into things. So what we're going to do today is basically go through, augmented reality ads, the blue ocean opportunity they have, comparing them with sort of conventional marketing creatives, and then also going through some campaign building, some strategies, and some case studies for actual use cases that we've been testing and sort of getting quite good results with clients for. Let me just pop this other window down in the other screen so I can see what everyone's saying. And then we can get rolling. Let me know if everyone can see everything and all good. Cool. So we'll start with some facts taken from a census in 2021, mainly for 2020 sort of responses to augmented reality experiences. And really, brands do connect, people and brands connect better with AR experiences. As it says, 30% more likely to be considered if you have a branded AR experience. And really, this comes from people, just being able to trust you more, just experiencing your brand in a much more immersive way, and you just become more memorable. So there's definitely, multiple ways that this can be achieved, which we'll go through sort of later on. But it really comes down to just basically giving people something unique that really resonates with them, which you can connect with them just on a slightly more personal, experiential level. And there's a figure here as well. Users are 57% more likely to share with friends and family, because people's favorite subject is themselves, right? So especially if it's one that's sort of overlaying their face or their immediate environment, it's really likely to make them want to share it with people close to them, and then in turn that's just compounding effect of them sharing it and stuff like that. I've actually seen a lot of filters people have made of that doll from Squid Game. I don't know if any of you guys have watched Squid Game. I definitely recommend it. But there's the first game, the red light, green light game. So many people have made the filter of the sort of doll that turns around and then looks at them and then they get shot. And the shares have been insane. Like, loads of people have been doing slightly different versions of it, but they've been sharing the actual organic engagement. It's just insane. So that's just a really good example of that. And not just the engagement side, but conversion side. AR interactions really do drive conversions, and I know this first-hand experience. I've been using them. There's a lovely quote here from the EVP of Gucci saying, conversion rates that we've seen surprised us. As a result, we're doubling down on AR experiences to drive e-commerce. And this is the case for a lot of bigger brands. They're really seeing the value in AR experiences for their marketing. And they're just all going to start testing it. They're all using them in, within their product pages or their social, or, there's lots of different uses of them. But for actual, conversion campaigns, it's something that's very overlooked, and that's what we're focusing on today. Interacting with products that have AR experiences leads to a 94% higher conversion rate. So I've honestly seen numbers is almost bigger than this. Like, initially we had an incredible engagement, but what was happening with the sort of case study I cover in later is they've actually got a launch going on with some other creatives which are using quite similar audiences, so they had to sort of share some of the the delivery. But initially, when it was just running on its own, it was just getting incredible results. So, and of course, a higher conversion rate means they just feel more connected with you. They just feel more trusting. That's a really big factor of it. They trust you more because they're seeing your product in their actual life, in their space. They're not just seeing something external. It really feels like it's something that they can reach out and touch, and that's really a really big difference there with AR ads and conventional creatives. Users are 37% more likely to purchase products through a brand's website through an AR experience, and that's definitely something I've seen as well. I've got comparisons of conversion rates between the two, conventional and AR ads that we've been running, and they're actually more than this. So that's definitely reigned true for us. And people are using to make personal decisions because, as I said, it's something they're experiencing, something they're able to see and feel. Well, not feel, but they can imagine it more in their space. So there's currently actually more than this, 100 million consumers shopping with AR in stores. It's actually more like 600 million, sorry. But this was actually taken sort of, for 2020 leading up to 2021. So, it's grown a lot in the current climate that we're in, where people are, well, I guess not all countries, but 2020 and maybe beginning of 2021, people weren't able to go to the shop. I don't know about you guys, but especially when I'm buying clothes, I like to go and I feel the fabric, because the actual texture of the fabric is really the most important thing in a a garment for me. I don't really care about design or anything else. I just like this nice fabric and a nice fit and a shape. That's like most important to me. So people who are like aesthetic like me, this is accomplishing that for them in their feed, bringing it into their actual phone and bringing them into the experience. So here, 93% of users say they'll use AR again more when shopping next year. And that's a huge thing, because this is a brand new thing to your audience. You need a level of education as well. But this is something that people will get used to, and they'll almost assume is a better ad. That's a really big point that I definitely wanted to highlight. It's getting, it can get to the point where AR ads stand out from other ads. At the moment, it's all, it's sort of almost like a novelty thing, so they will stand out in that respect. But imagine if you can really connect people with your brand and your product with an AR ad, and then they see the same sort of thing. They're like, oh, cool, I remember this last time. I want to check it out again. So, that's why that's there. And they drive revenue as well. 26% more likely to share experience with family and friends, as you know. So that means that it's 20% more likely to purchase products from the brand. So that really means that people around them are buying from you. People around them are using your AR experience. They're more likely to do that too, because we all know the power of UGC and how UGC works. And, this does create some UGC for you, but it's just that experiential thing of being able to share it with everybody just has that, knock-on effect of just much more power. And it captures consumer attention. So AR delivers almost twice the level of visual attention compared to their non-AR equivalent, leading to improved memories and more powerful responses from consumers. So this is huge for brand loyalty, customer retention. This is not just something you run at the top of the funnel, which I'll go into in a second. This is something you can run at all levels of the funnel for all different reasons. awareness, engagement, retention. You can definitely put this wherever you have, a need to just, improve your metrics, basically. So it builds customer confidence, as I said. They're more likely to buy if they've had that experience with the product, and they've seen it, they've worn it, they've put it on their face, they'll put it in their space. So nearly 3 in 4 consumers are willing to pay more for a product where that transparency is there. So the really big problem in e-commerce, especially with drop shipping, I know we all hate it. If it's done well, we don't hate it, but most of the time it's not done well. The quality is a huge issue, right? So that's why Facebook has become so strict with shutting everyone's ad accounts down every 10 minutes and banning, rejecting random ads because it thinks it's showing too much skin, et cetera, et cetera. This shows people what your product's really like, and they can experience it almost to the level that they could in person. So it just has that, added trust factor to it. And also a really big point here, leads to less returns because, as I said, people are experiencing it first before they have, actually purchased. So then they're less likely to go, oh no, this isn't really what I wanted, because they've put it on. They're not. AR is not in the place where you have a perfect fit, because the tracking is amazing. Don't get me wrong, but it's not to the point where you know exactly the size of what it works, because it doesn't really measure like the space in that way. Like if you're wide, if you're small, if you're thin, it doesn't fit to you. It just fits to the sort of mapping. And I'm not a dev and I'm not a creator, so I'm sort of a bit out of my depth there, but that's sort of my understanding of it. The filters yet, but still, people do have that trust factor, which leads to them wanting to return less. So here's a conclusion of the data side. Consumers continue to expect more personalized and engaging experiences that enable them, and that's what AR does. It's delivering this to consumers today, and it still remains an untapped potential for so much more. So this is what I'm saying. It's a blue ocean opportunity. It's not just something where you have a AR filter made and it's just something that sits in your Instagram little creator area, and sometimes people share it with their friends and test it out and have fun with it and share videos, blah, blah, blah. It's something that you can use in so many levels of your marketing funnel. So this is a huge opportunity. Anyone that's on this call, anyone that's going to watch the replay, this is a really huge opportunity for you, your brand, your agency, or if you're just a freelancer. This is something you can pitch to people to get them on board. This could be like a lead generation, because sooner or later, more people are going to be searching for this when they start seeing how effective it is. They're like, oh, cool, I need someone who's a specialist in AR ads. So that's why I'm here. I'm here to show anyone who's interested in actually being able to do that for themselves, how to do that. Because I'm doing that right now. I'm trying to find brands that are down to give this a go, the ones that are excited about it, and the ones that are willing to test it. So here's the actual metric comparison with the case study that I'm going to show you shortly. So based on the recent AR campaigns that we ran from sort of the beginning of September, they're still running at the moment, the CPM honestly was a fifth of what we're used to it being, which is absolutely incredible, considering it's mostly cold, and we all know that CPMs are just doubling every month at the moment as we're running up to Q4. Especially if you're in lead gen. Oh my days, it's nuts right now, right? I'm doing some lead gen for the agency I consult for, and their lead gen is just very expensive in terms of CPMs. But for e-commerce, you're this is in US dollars, but Australian dollars, not US dollars. But you can expect cold prospecting audiences in Australia to be a little bit lower than this normally. Actually, Australia is quite cheap in terms of ads, as long as you're not in a super competitive space, in my experience. So under $20 is quite normal, but it's very competitive space, this one. As you'll see, it's mothers and babies, basically. So there's so many brands out there that are in that same space. And it just shows you the CPM lowering like that, shows you that it cut through the noise. And that's actually like the motto of the little firm I've created, Augmented Hype, you can see in the bottom corner, cutting through the noise, because that's what the AR ad does. You're in a space where you're competing for auction, ad inventory on the auction, and because no one else is using this format, Facebook prefers to push people to experiences that are bringing them in. Oh yeah, by the way, so I'm going to do a Q&A at the end. So just load up any questions in the chat, and I'll jump into them at the end. Engagement, 10 times higher. This was just insane, and it's really just because it's quite a new thing. This is very suitable for augmented reality ads, because obviously it's not in terms of like augmented reality ads are only suitable to certain products, but it's in terms of how used to augmented reality ads people are. So they've seen a lot of glasses, like augmented reality ads, where you're trying glasses on, and that's what this is. So I think that has a big factor on the engagement being much better. Click-through rate is incredible also, because people are clicking on the actual, and this is actually outbound click-through rate, by the way, so people leaving the platform, not just people clicking on the ad. That's a different metric altogether. But people are experiencing the product first, and then they're just like, cool, this is for me, this suits me, I'm going and checking it out. Conversion rate, much better. CPA, about half of what we're used to paying. And the other, those sort of metrics all fall in line with the lower CPM. But one really big thing to highlight is the life expectancy and the cost. Because augmented reality ads is something you can use for a long time. They're not just something that runs out very quickly. And honestly, I do feel that people say about creative fatigue is a bit too much of a big thing, when it really isn't that much of a big thing. But what is a big thing is having similar creatives for a long time. So you need to be able to switch it up. You need to have some different formats. You need to have some different branding, or maybe come at it from a more native way, or come at it a more branded way if you used to do native. You need to really mix it up. So with AR ads, you can do that, because the actual ads you use for the bringing people into the experience can change. It's the actual AR ad asset will remain the same, but you can obviously tweak it as well, depending on what promotions you have. But the thing you have before that brings people to it is just completely up to you how you have that. You can change it as much as you want. So it's this sort of secondary asset that's pulling people in that you can just, mess around with. And the conventional costs of AR ads, it can be anywhere between 5,000 and I've seen some for like 150,000. But really for e-commerce and for the sort of products we've been working with, that's the sort of, the sort of cost that people have been using, and they've been able to make that back within a month, in terms of revenue. So the return is incredible. Whereas, and I'm not knocking, conventional creators at all, because I'm a marketer myself. I do Facebook ads, and I still use video, like almost exclusively, static images, carousels. Started testing with instant experiences, but not AR ads, but just the ones where it brings up sort of like a magazine, on Facebook magazine type ad. But to get something created that's solid, branded, really nice video, really awesome production, you're looking at about 10,000, whereas AR ads are going to cost you half of that. And in my experience, it's very difficult to get the video creative right so that it can actually be something with longevity. Because it may be a creative you come up with and you use, and it doesn't hit the mark. Like the audience don't respond to it. It's too branded. It feels like they're being sold to, or it's too native. It feels a bit, not as good quality as you want. Or there's all these different factors. So, the life expectancy of the AR ad can really be up to how creative you are with it. So let's jump into the actual campaign side. What does it actually look like, and what can you do with it? So this is a typical AR ad campaign flow, and as I mentioned, you can have use it for different levels of the funnel. On here, I've got awareness, so top of funnel, engagement, and then conversion, or however you sort of want to break down the levels of awareness of buying. But basically, top, middle, and bottom, and also existing customers can all be used within, be targeted within the AR experience. So it's not just about getting new customers; it's about can also underpin retention. It can build up loyalty within your customers that you already have. So you can basically have some exclusive funnel where they're seeing a certain offer and it leads them to the AR experience. And you can do this within Messenger. You can do this just straight up AR ads. Something where there's some sort of level of exclusivity. And then the other beautiful thing is that you can cater the landing page, or you can cater the content based on what landing page you want to send them to. So one of the things we were testing was the glasses that in the case study that I'm going to mention. It's to do with sizing and style. So we send them to the collection page, and we also send them to sizing guide, frequency asked questions page too, because the questions they were getting were mainly from customers, objections. They were mainly to do with sizing and things like that. So if people are able to, one, try them on, two, they go into a page that answers all their questions, what other objections do they have? So, that's not unique to, obviously, AR ads, but that's just something to keep in mind in terms of actual strategies. And of course, like the AR asset can be used many different channels as well. It's not just for Facebook and Instagram. Obviously, you can take it and you can sort of get things rejigged and put it onto different platforms. And it can also be an offline thing, and it can be something you share on email, something you embed into the website with a deep link, something you have on Messenger. There's multiple ways you can use it. So it's not necessarily just for an AR ad. And then actually, once you're getting on the AR experience and you're capturing an image or a video, there's all these things you can do with it. There's all these things that the user can do. They can put it on Instagram. They can share it on Facebook, Instagram Reels, and actually Facebook having Reels now. I just heard from Zucks, they're getting Facebook Reels on the go now. So hopefully that'll be another placement within pretty soon for AR ads. So that's just a little side note. They can also create an Instagram and Facebook story. They can send a direct message to friends, share in Facebook groups, or they can just have it in their phone and then share people, in real IRL. They can just send it with any sort of, additions they want to make to themselves. So the big point here really is it's like UGC, the free UGC you're getting. So if you have some incentive, a way to actually get people in and sort of create this viral loop, you can actually get them to share the AR experience, the capture with people who can potentially then come on to be your clients, your customers. So, that's incredible. You can basically come up with something that incentivizes them to share it. Share it with 5 to 10 of your friends, and you do this or this or this, whatever your sort of strategy is going to be, and then people those people that they share it with might come and buy. So it's just, it's just amazing. Just think about the compounding effect of that. I already said free user-generated content. So that's like a really important thing. And also the other thing about it is it's so real like, I don't know about the experience of anyone listening who runs ads, but UGC that feels too branded doesn't really feel like UGC at all. It feels more like you're being sold to. It's not really feeling like someone's just picked their phone up and they've done a shot and it all feels authentic. Even branded UGC can work really well. I'm not saying that's not true, but we all know that sort of native feeling stuff works really, really well because people can feel the authenticity. And that's what you're getting with this. You're just getting that content. So as I said, if you have some sort of incentive built into your system, you can get that UGC and you can use it in your marketing. And you can even use it in the actual assets you use to pull people into the AR experience as well, which we'll dive into in a second. So yeah, other things you can do with your AR asset, they can be used for all the different levels of the funnel, as I mentioned, but you can also use it with influencers. So the influencer can be the person in your viral loop that you sort of mentioned. You can have a way of sharing it with someone with a big following, and you can have them share it, and then you can have them say to people, test it out. And then you can have some sort of incentive underlying with them, where they have a discount or something, and then you can have an incredible amount of influencer traffic come to your site, which could be absolutely incredible. And this is another, getting into the data side. This is very juicy. So these are the things you can track: impressions, captures, shares. Also, you can track video shares. So if someone actually does a video. And this is mainly on the Spark AR side. So you basically have two different sets of metrics. You have the AR ad metrics within Facebook. Well, they're not AR, sorry. They're instant experience metrics. So you have specific metrics to do with instant experiences, which actually are a little bit further on. I'll run back in a second. But yeah, so you have these four: instant experience, outbound clicks, instant experience view time, instant experience view percentage, and then instant experience clicks to open. So the one starting from the left to the right, you're getting, actually let's start the other way around, right to left makes more sense. So clicks to open, that's someone jumping from the feed into your instant experience. So anyone seeing the ad and they're like, cool, let's try that out. They click on the actual, the ad on the feed, and it says try on or try in your space. There's a CTA within, like on top of the creative that you have running, right? So that's what the metric there is. So you can look at that and you can say, okay, cool, that's not, people aren't responding that much. Maybe I need to change a different creative there. And you can also use all of the other creatives, all of the other metrics you have to judge whether or not that creative is having a good effect and test it out. But this one gives you, specific insight into, is that creative I've got pulling people into the experience, which obviously that's the objective, right? So you can use that. Instant experience view percentage, that's basically the amount of people clicking who are viewing it. So I think most of the time that's going to be 100%. I don't know why people would click and just close it straight away, but maybe that might happen. So that's where that would show up. Instant experience view time, so that's how much people are spending on the actual filter. And this is an average. So this is just one example of an ad set I've got running. This has not had a lot of spend, but you can see people are spending like 30 seconds on there, right? And the average attention span of someone on Facebook is less than 6 seconds, unless you have a super hot video that's pulling people's attention for a long, long time. I mean, it doesn't need to be a long time, does it? It just needs to be 10 to 20 seconds, I guess, to really get the job done. But they're spending longer in instant experiences, basically, with their AR ad. So that's very important to highlight. And of course, you could use this metric to, okay, well, people are coming into the AR experience and they're leaving within a couple of seconds. You're like, well, there's something that needs to be done there. Either you're targeting the wrong sorts of people, maybe the feed thing, the actual creative you're using on feed isn't really telling this story, educating properly, or maybe the AR experience needs to be worked on a little bit, tweaked, or something needs to be done about it, right? So that's the metric you use for that part. And then you have instant experience, outbound clicks. Obviously, how many people have gone into the experience from the feed and then clicked to your site. So you see from people clicking on the ad to people going to the site. I should have probably done the maths on this, but it's quite a high percentage, right? I don't know what that is. Anyone good at maths? Let's do a quick percentage workout. What is 29? It's 117. So that's 25, just under 25% of people who went to the AR experience went to the site, right? So yeah, let's jump back to where I was before. Just talking about the different areas you can promote as well. So there's going to be a lot more coming. one really big one to highlight is Shopify AR. So at the moment, they do have the ability to have 3D product images. So that's going to be a really big thing really soon. So AR playing, being going to be on Shopify pretty soon. So that's going to be really useful. Email, I mentioned, you can basically have a deep link to the actual AR filter itself. Snapchat, that's really big for AR already. Messenger, that's another area. Chatbots, and I guess these two really tie into each other. Pinterest are also getting quite hot on it. And also, it's Etsy are in on the AR game. So that's quite an interesting side of things. So this is basically about the actual thing, that you need, the creative you need to pull people into the experience. And this is really sort of what we found works really well at the moment. So something that's designed for the sound off with 15 seconds of video. And that sounds really short, but honestly, it doesn't need to be a long video. It just needs to be something that educates someone into, this is what you need to do. Click on this and then do this. So it'll just have an example of, from the free UGC you're getting, an example of someone using the filter. Someone attractive or someone that looks like them or something, something that resonates with the audience, right? And that's basically what you need to be using. And the video doesn't need to be a long video, but around 15 seconds is a good sort of length. And we put design with the sound off because hardly anyone actually clicks and listens to stuff. So obviously have some captions or something along those lines to get the attention of the people who aren't actually listening to the sound. So these are the audiences. These are the countries that we're testing audiences in the moment. At the moment, so North America, Europe, and APAC. So Asia and New Zealand, Australia. There's a certain level of awareness that needs to be had to be able to, I think, not go over people's heads. So that's why we're using these countries. I know there's far more countries that are, far more used to, AR than other countries. For example, in India and in South America, Asia, other parts of Asia, really, really hot on AR. Like a lot more brands and stuff use it here. So, I'm definitely not saying don't target. Depending on where you are, don't target places, only target these. But this is just where we're finding like good results at the moment. So actually you need to update this because I didn't update to say Reels for Facebook. But yeah, these are the platforms you can use. Well, these are the placements, you can use. It's mobile only, so that's very important to note. You can't do these on desktop because obviously it pulls you into your camera on your phone. But who uses their desktop to buy stuff anymore? Not that many people. So if people are on desktop, your product, your audience are primarily on desktop and not really on mobile, then this might be something you need to look at, like how you're going to bring them, off their Facebook mobile feed and Instagram mobile feed. So it's just something to highlight as well. And then more information about macro, micro influencers. So these are basically let's go basically now we can jump into the actual building side of it, how it works, the steps of it. Let me just have a quick break of water. How's everyone absorbing this so far? I know I'm talking a lot, I'm talking very fast, but there's just so much to get through and there's just so much juicy detail here. I really hope you guys are, enjoying this so far. So yeah, let's jump into the actual build side. How does it look? What sort of strategies can you use? How does it work? So this is the actual objective you can use currently for AR ads. So it's limited to these 4, but we all know we only really want to use one of these, but they are all very useful for their own purposes. So the top 2, brand awareness and reach, those with the AR experience, with the AR ad, your CTA or your action is to swipe up. The traffic and conversions is a massive CTA button that bounces in the middle of the screen, or the middle bottom of the screen. So that's basically the biggest difference, apart from obviously the actual objective and the optimization. But that's the difference in the actual experience, and of course, traffic conversions, sending people either to the site or sending people to perform an action. Brand awareness and reach is more for, just getting to as many people's eyes as possible. And then reach, you can just have a lot more control on the frequency. If you have, say you have a sort of small audience and you want them to see it one time a week, you can do that with reach. brand awareness is more like, okay, cool, just these people, just send them as much as you want. Just you can work out the frequency of Facebook. So how do you actually do it? So I'm actually going to create a cheat sheet pretty soon. I was hoping to have it ready for this, but I didn't. It's not ready at the moment, but that's just because the design is going to be awesome, just like these slides are. So anyone in the group, I'm going to give you guys that, and actually anyone interested, join the group, and I'll give you guys the cheat sheet, which will just basically help you from step A to step Z, how to actually set up your AR ads. But this is just a compressed version of that at the moment. So you first need to add the instant experience into Spark AR Hub. So that's the program Facebook have for creating AR experiences. So that's how you need to get it done first. You can set up an account up free, and you can even go into gallery in there and have a look at all of the different filters and stuff people are making. Currently, there's a massive competition going on for Cyberpunk. I don't know if you guys know Cyberpunk. Is it 2077? I can't remember the year after the name, but they're having a big competition with, they give you the assets basically, and the creators go out and they create, the different versions of whatever filter they want with these assets, and then the winner gets something. I don't know what the winner gets, but it's awesome. Like the talent in this is incredible. So you upload the filter into there first, and you need to select that it's for ads, right? Because you basically can select for just uploading the filter as an effect, or you can upload it as an AR ad. So that's one of the options you get. And then you create all the information there, and you attach it to the page of the Facebook ad account you're using. So those are steps that are not included here, but they will be included in the cheat sheet that I mentioned. So once you've done that, then you can select it in the template. So when you go into your ad, to create your actual ad, you have the option to do instant experience. Obviously, you know where that is. Underneath where you normally would add the image, video, carousel, whatever, and you can select instant experience just below that, and then you press template, and then you would be able to select the effect you've added into Spark AR in there, as long as it's been attached to the page and as long as it's been approved by Spark AR, because I believe they need between 3 and 5 days to basically approve it. But actually, when I did it, it took a day, so I don't think it takes that long. So yeah, anyway, once that's done, you can select it in the template, and then you can select that in the drop-down menu, as it says there, and then you can put your URL, call to action, and then also you can select whether it's front camera, back camera, or default. And then default will just basically be the one you selected in the actual effect itself, so it won't mess it up, because obviously if it's a face filter and you're putting it on the wrong camera, it's going to not work. It has to be the front camera. And then you can do one of these juicy call to action. So these are the call to actions that appear on the feed creative that you have that pulls people into experience. So we haven't gone into the experience yet. This is just what's on the outside. So tap to try on, tap to interact, and then tap to see it in your space. So obviously this is more for back camera, and these are more, well, actually, I guess this middle one can be both. So more for front camera, more for both, and then more for back camera. So if you know what I mean. So the tap to see it in your space will basically open it up in front of you, and just put it on the floor or put it on a table, or the sort of AR experiences you're used to with furniture and things like that. That's how you would select that. Once you've done that, then review, check it out, test it out, send it to your friends, give it a little preview, make sure everything's all hunky-dory, and then tap done. You're done. You're ready to roll. I guess I went through this quite a bit already because I was talking about metrics, but I guess what I didn't really talk about was the one was the Spark AR actual side of metrics. But if we jump back to this again, the actual custom audiences you can make from the data you get from instant experience is a very big thing to highlight. So I've created a post on AR ads mini funnel, I call it. So I'm actually considering creating a cheat sheet for that separately, but it's basically a whole strategy based on the data you get back from the AR experience. So basically, I'll break it down into 3 different audiences, and these audiences are all based off events from Facebook on app events. So they're not conversion events, and they're not ones that have been affected by iOS basically. So basically what you can do is basically you can go into your custom audiences, and you can create 3 different audiences based off what people have done, the actions that they've done on your AR ad. So Number one is post engagers / ad engagers. So, these are people who've clicked on this ad within this, the last etc. days. So if you're running the AR campaign alone, you can say, okay, cool. Since I started the AR campaign, let's just select these people who've done this action, because it'll be those people, right? Step 2 would be create a custom audience from people who viewed video. So if you've used a video for the feed ad that you're pulling, your feed creative that you're pulling people in the AR ad experience with, you've got even more data there for video views. So if you've used a video of just like 15 seconds or something like that, I'm not saying you need to, use split it up into, 2% and people who've watched 95% and all this sort of stuff. That's not really necessary. But as a bulk audience for people who viewed the video, they may have potentially viewed the video and just been distracted or something. It's almost like an abandoned cart. They might, oh, this is cool, but I haven't actually gone into the experience yet. So there's a way of retargeting them, right? So basically retarget them with the AR ad. And then the actual AR experience itself, the instant experience, has its own custom audience. So you can create another audience. So there's 3 different audiences you can make. So I'll definitely create a bit more material on this to sort of help people visualize it and put it in and implement it and put it into practice. But you can basically create a mini funnel based off your AR ad. So just think about the power of that. Spark AR has its own metrics that it can track. So this is actually encompassing all the metrics to do with all the organic reach. So, within Facebook, you'll just be able to see this spend equated to this many impressions, this delivery, etc. But Spark AR will show you everything. Since its inception, you can choose different timelines. So you can choose 28 days, 14 days and 7. No, actually, that's wrong. It's maximum, so lifetime, 28 days and 7 days. That's right. So you can choose those 3 timelines, and then you can have a look and see, what the metrics are like for that. And then you've got impressions, opens, captures. Obviously, that's someone doing a video or an image, taking a picture or taking a video. Saves, this is a really important thing. So that's mainly for Instagram. You can save the effect and you can go back to it later. And then shares, the same. Organic is incredible. So here's the case study I was talking about. Yeah, so here's the juicy time. So basically, the filter paid for itself within the first $1,000 spend. It's actually a bit lower, more toward 800. So that's a really important thing to highlight. But the impressions, the click-through rate, 58% improvement in the click-through rate, 50% my brain is just shutting down. Give me a second. Get some water on. 50% increase on average order value, which is a really incredible aspect in my opinion, which I'll touch on in a second. And then 44% higher return on ad spend, which is a lot to do with better average order value and then better engagement leading to better conversion, right? But the thing I really want to highlight was the AOV, because this brand are used to an AOV of around $50 to $60, which basically I think equates to 2 pairs. But what was really interesting was the average person was ordering 3 pairs after trying the filter out. So if you notice on the creative on the right-hand side, it's just, this is a video feed ad, by the way, and then you click into the experience. That's what it looks like. And there's me in my vest, looking like an idiot with my COVID hair. But you can see it splits it up into 4 different screens where you have 4 different styles. And that, I think, has made the difference in the AOV. So that's something that was unexpected. I wasn't really expecting. So this has worked really, really well for them. The people have been able to go in, they've been able to experience different products. So if you have product variants, that's a really big thing to use right there. And they're ordering more. They're like, oh, cool, I saw what these 3 look like. I like the style of them. I'm going to get more. And their conventional creatives just brought people in to get 1 or 2. So that's a really big thing to highlight. CPA was pretty low with quite a nice conversion rate of almost 13%. And then the ROAS is 6. So all around, pretty awesome, right? It's all been pretty solid. These are a couple of case studies from Facebook itself. So I just wanted to highlight this one because it's got this really cool carousel effect. If you look on the right-hand side, it's different lipsticks. So you can see them. Well, I guess you only saw 2 there, but just overlaying the lipstick over her lips. And, it just highlights that, what I was saying earlier about being able to actually experience the product themselves. And they can see what tone fits their complexion and, their skin tone and everything. So this led to a 28-point lift in purchases, 53% high click-through rate, obviously because everyone wants to try it out for themselves. 13-point lift in ad recall. So they were having just better retention, and people were coming back to try the ad out again, or they were clicking through to the page. 7.9-point in lift in brand awareness as well. So they obviously increased their delivery to a much bigger audience. And then 38 seconds average engagement time. So this is another really big thing. If you're getting people to engage in your AI ad for a long time, you're, in a nicer way of saying it, indoctrinating them more into your brand, right? Because they're seeing your product, they're seeing your logo, if you put your logo on there. And at that time, you can also, as you see in there, highlight any messaging you want to them. So not that you need to sort of flash any sort of propaganda at them or anything, but you can basically give them more personal experience, like while they're trying out your product. So I thought it was really cool. And here's the founder saying some awesome stuff about augmented reality. Here's another example from Vietnam. It's a brand that sell glasses and also matching with lipstick. So I can't remember if the example goes into the actual filter anymore. But basically, you have the same sort of similar situation with the with the other case study you just saw, where you can see the actual color on the lips, and you can see the glasses paired, and you can basically, there's two carousels, one at the top, one at the bottom, similar to this, the last one, and you can just flick across them and test out which match. So think about the power of that. You're bundling within the ad, like you're upselling people multiple products within the ad, as similar to the glasses one I just went through, the case study that I'm talking about. You can upsell people within the actual ad. So pretty damn awesome. So these guys saw a 10% lift in view content over the previous campaigns. So they're obviously using view content objective. 19% lift, or actually, I guess that just means people are going to the product page more than they were with the other ads. 19% lift in products added to cart over previous campaigns. So they're hitting on the right people. People are just more trusting, and they're just almost ready to purchase, right? And then 7% lift in online purchases over previous campaign. So that's not a huge lift, but with all the other metrics that I sort of mentioned, they could have been running things that were just pulling the wrong people to their store. Whereas this, even a 7% lift in purchases is pretty good, depending on what the AOV is, right? And then there's a nice cool bit from the founder who I've actually spoken to. It's a nice guy. So yeah, here's your homework. It's a workshop. You guys have got to do something. You can't just sit there and listen to me talk the whole time. So what I want you to do is I want you to go on the internet and find 3 awesome augmented reality campaigns you like, and come into the free AR ad strategies Facebook group and share them. So what I'm really trying to do in there is just give everyone an idea of the sort of things that people have been running and the sort of things that people have been getting success with. Because I've been on the phone now with quite a few agency owners, with some brands, with some marketers, and a lot of people are interested in this. And the thing that they usually ask me, and the thing that's sort of left with a question mark, is that how does a concept relate to my product specifically? And that is something that you can basically accomplish by looking at some other campaigns that you really like. It doesn't necessarily need to be the same product. It doesn't even necessarily need to be the same market. But you just have the idea of, okay, this is how, this is the emotion I want them to capture. This is the feeling I want them to have, and I want them to be able to experience this and this and this. And you'll get that from having a look at other people's campaigns or the sort of case studies they've been doing. So these are the different types of AR ad filter. So this actually encompasses just the actual filters. So when I say augmented reality campaigns, it doesn't necessarily just have to be augmented reality ads, because I know there's not a lot. So what I'm saying is just go out and have a look at just augmented reality campaigns, because a lot of brands use them in terms of the filter, for sort of location-based things or experiential-based things, so it's not just exclusive to AR ads. So yeah, color adjustment Instagram filters. These are the ones that we're most used to. They just basically overlay a slightly different environment on your environment in terms of color, logos, things like that. Beautifying AR Instagram filters, we just saw a good example of that. Ones where there's, the mapping is over your lips or over your eyes, and it gives you some sort of makeup or something along those lines. Random AR Instagram filters, so they can be basically like anything. You've got some really odd ones where I can't think of any examples off the top of my head, but people are super creative with these. And there's ones that something you wouldn't really think of how it would match with that brand, but it actually matched really, really well. So I'm thinking of now like the links there's like a links one where when you stand in the place next to you, there's a like an angel standing there, and it's like this woman, the sexy angel woman, because obviously it's a man's brand, right? Heterosexual men, by the way. Well, not necessarily, I don't know, but anyway, that's the target audience. And this angel, sexy angel, stands next to you in the experience, but you can only see it up on the TV screen. So that's something that they were using. That's pretty random, right? Quiz AR filters, ones where you're like asking you questions and you give the answers, or ones where it sort of randomly generates some funny, meme or something that matches you or looks like you or something like that. Game Instagram filters, incredibly effective. I've seen a lot of these. I've even seen an example of this with that red light, green light game from the Squid Game Netflix series, which I keep talking about. This is awesome, by the way. But yeah, someone created one where you can basically play the game, and if you ran and it turned red, the head would turn around and your character would just fall down. So it's super funny. So I can imagine that, in terms of like an actual ad. Imagine the game would only, you can only pass through to get the link or something. You couldn't win unless you got through to the past where the doll shoots you. Basically, that would be a really cool experience. And then real world Instagram AR filters, and this is basically one where it overlays the ad, the actual AR asset into your space. So this works really well with furniture, anything that's sort of like you can try and envisage within your home or within your office or sort of whatever space you're in. And of course, it also includes Pokemon Go. That was really big for that. So yeah, share what you like about it, what audience you think it's for, and what objective was it. So that means, was it brand awareness? Was that traffic? Was it conversion, etc.? So yeah, let me know what you guys love about the ads that you've seen. So yeah, that's pretty much it. It's time for QA now. Let's have a quick butchers in the chat. Let's go scroll back up to the first question. So isn't creating AR filters costly in the first place? Well, yeah, this is something I covered sort of at the beginning. I'm not sure when you joined, but it can potentially be costly if your filter is like super complicated. So there's brands that are using them. Netflix use some filters, and movie brands have filters and things like that, and it requires an incredible amount of detail and precision, and they need like 20 designers in there, stuff like that. But for D2C e-commerce, you don't need that level of complexity. You can create, and we created, quite a reasonably costed ad that's able to pay for itself pretty soon. So it's really down to the complexity, and the cost completely depends on the amount of expertise and the amount of labor hours need to go into it. But I gave that cost of $5,000 US because that's sort of the average that I'm sort of experiencing for brands, e-commerce brands, basically. Can AR be used by B2B? Yeah, 100%. Yeah, definitely. So I'm really interested in exploring this for lead generation. So this is what I was saying a little bit earlier. So you could actually, if you're a marketer or you're an agency, you could use the AR experience as like a lead gen for your agency, because you're doing something that no one else is doing. So you guys have got this filter you've created. Maybe it's just an example, like a case study for like an AR ad you ran for one of your clients, and you can use that in your lead generation. So your potential clients are seeing this and they're like, oh, cool, what is that? And then they're like, boom, 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 and then they're going through the AR experience to the case study page where they see how well that ad they just were brought in by did, and how what the amazing results they got for the brand, right? So 100% can be used. I also think there's an element of all the stuff to do with like experiencing a brand and being much more personal and immersive with your company. That can definitely be a big part of lead generation as well. I don't know I can't envisage how that would take shape because I haven't seen anything like that, but I can definitely imagine it would work really, really well. UGC, user generated content. I think I don't know if I explained what that was. Does it have to go through an instant experience, or can you send them to Messenger and then yes. Yeah. I know you're a big chatbot guy, Dan. So yeah, it's definitely something you can do with deep linking on Messenger and anywhere else you want to use deep link, basically. So it just pulls people straight through to the Instagram filter. But for the example of the filter, which was in the case study with the CTA, I don't think you can do a deep link to that, but I might be wrong. I haven't experimented with that yet because this is, been doing it for a few months, but this is fairly new to me as well. So I'd be really interested to see like the experience, how people can, how the CTA would work on a deep link, as I guess I'm saying. I'm sure you can do it. I'm sure you can just have like a link from the instant experience somehow, because when you create the actual ad within Ads Manager and you just look at the URL from the ad, it has a Facebook deep link as the link. And then your URL, that's your product page or whatever, is within the template. So I think you can take that deep link and you can use it, but I'm not 100%. So I'd love to see someone test that out and let me know. Cool, guys. Like fire away any more questions you guys have. As I said, I just want to talk a little bit about the group. I don't want to push you guys too much to do something. I'm not selling anything. I'm not pitching anything. I'm just, giving you guys the potential to basically jump on this before anyone else does, and show you like what's possible. But I do have this AR Ad Strategies Facebook group. So this is where we're hosting this workshop on there. But I know that some people have come in from externally and they're maybe not in that group. So yeah, come in and join the group and just see how you feel about it, because it's basically a community of marketers, agency owners, brand owners, and we're all in there to basically share insights and experience of different AR ad strategies we've seen, and we can all grow together. And I'm experimenting with this. I'm talking to a few other brands. I'm talking to some agencies as well who are interested in this, and we're all going to be doing new experiments. We're going to be doing different brands, and I'm really happy to share the insights with you guys to show you how it's all working, and you can go away and you can use those insights in your own way and test stuff out for yourself. So that's really the objective for that group there. I sort of want it to be similar to the creative groups that you see, like an example of like Creative Unicorn, and there's one that's called Ad Creatives at Work, and they're really cool because basically the posts are mainly just like the actual ads, and like then they express like a little bit about some of the metrics if they know, or just like what they like about it and what it works. So it would be really cool to have something like that. But I also don't exclusively want it to be that. It can also be a place for discussion. So if people have questions on, I'm running this AR ad, and this is what I'm seeing, things like that, and then we can all help each other. So it can be more of a more interactive than just a stream of creatives. So yeah, come in and join that. Just search AR ad strategy on Facebook and you'll be able to find it. A couple more questions. How to find examples of AR? Because it's very it's not easy to find, but most of the time you can search for augmented reality marketing or augmented reality advertising or just campaign. Just have a look in Google and you can probably find it. Like there's a few companies where they match brands with creators, and they do share a lot of case studies that they're using. So that's one place you can look. So there's Cross Creators, there's LensGig. I know Eighth Wall share a lot of stuff. I can't think of any more off the top of my head, but yeah, they're a really good place to go. Otherwise, you can just look at like Papa John's did an AR experience. I know Nicki Minaj did one for like a necklace she was selling. Can't think of any more off the top of my head, but yeah, have a look through and just have a look on Google to see what you can see. What if one clicks the ad, use the filter? Can the filter itself add the CTA to a landing page? I'm not sure I understand that question. Not sure. One clicks add and uses the filters. Can in the filter itself add a CTA to the landing page? No, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how to answer that, to be honest. Maybe you're asking about the filters without the CTA, but they won't have a way. If it's just a filter, the only actions you can have on the filters that are not the actual AR ads are to take a picture and share and save the image. So that's when it's on Instagram separately. I think that'll be coming to Facebook pretty soon, but who knows. But when it's an AR ad, you have those two options, which is whatever CTA you've given it, so learn more, shop now, get offer, etc., or you can take a picture. So those are the only two sort of ones you can do. Cool, guys. Yeah, I really appreciate everyone jumping in. Apologies for the sort of faffing around at the beginning. But for next time, I'll know a lot more about how to actually share my screen first and not not do the other thing that I did. I'm going to be sharing a whole video on YouTube too, but you guys have already seen it / are seeing it on Facebook, so all good. If there's no other questions, then yeah, we're going to just cut the video off there. Really appreciate you guys jumping on. Yeah, let us know about the 3 sort of campaigns you like in the group. And yeah, have a good day, have a good night, wherever you are in the world. Thank you very much. Cheers, guys. Yeah, I'm back. Apologies for that. Cool. Right. So that's a big learning for me next time, that you have to start in share. You can't start on face and switch it around. Anyway, yeah, let's jump back into it. Apologies for everyone who was on the last little introduction part but couldn't, we got kicked off suddenly, so we're gonna jump back into things. I am recording this as well, so I recorded this separately, so I'll share that stuff with you guys. So yeah, apologies for the noobishness, but I'll know for next time that that's how you do it. Cool, right? So yeah, let's jump into things. So what we're going to do today is basically go through augmented reality ads, the blue ocean opportunity they have, comparing them with sort of conventional marketing creatives, and then also going through some campaign building, some strategies, and some case studies for actual use cases that we've been testing and sort of getting quite good results with clients for. Let me just pop this other window down in the other screen so I can see what everyone's saying. And then we can get rolling. Let me know if everyone can see everything and all good. Cool. So we'll start with some facts taken from a census in 2021, mainly for 2020 sort of responses to augmented reality experiences. And really, brands do connect, people and brands connect better with AR experiences. As it says, 30% more likely could be considered if you have a branded AR experience. And really, this comes from people, just being able to trust you more, just experiencing your brand in a much more immersive way, and you just become more memorable. So there's definitely, multiple ways that this can be achieved, which we'll go through sort of later on. But it really comes down to just basically giving people something unique that really resonates with them, which you can, connect with them just on a slightly more personal, experiential level. And there's a figure here as well. Users are 57% more likely to share with friends and family, because people's favorite subject is themselves, right? So especially if it's one that's sort of overlaying their face or their immediate environment, it's really likely to make them want to share it with people close to them, and then in turn that's just compounding effect of them sharing it and stuff like that. I've actually seen a lot of filters people have made of that doll from Squid Game. I don't know if any of you guys have watched Squid Game. I definitely recommend it. But there's the first game, the red light, green light game. So many people have made the filter of the sort of doll that turns around and then looks at them and then they get shot. And the shares have been insane. Like, loads of people have been doing slightly different versions of it, but they've been sharing the actual organic engagement. It's just insane. So that's just a really good example. Is it still recording?